About 10 seconds, he says both the engines have failed. Now, most of us know every aircraft has got two engines. One engine fails, the pilot can still maneuver and get the aircraft onto the land. But he says both the engines have failed, and there is even more panic. And the inside crew are on job. They give parachutes to all the people, and one by one everybody starts getting down the aircraft. In the end, there are only 4 people left. The pilot himself, a politician, a student and a teacher. But there are 4 people left, but there are only 3 parachutes. So there is a panic again. The pilot says, my job is very important. There are only 500 pilots in the country. There's a shortage of pilots in the country, so he takes a parachute and jumps out. The politician says, there are only 540 members in the Lok Sabha. I have to serve my constituency, that is more important. So he pulls out a parachute and he jumps off. So the teacher and the student are left. Then the teacher, being as benevolent as he is, he says, my friend, I have lived my life. You take the parachute which is left out and you jump off the aircraft. The student says, no sir, both of us can jump out of the plane. Both of us are safe. So the teacher gets angry. Arey, what is this? I have taught you mathematics for so many years. There are 4 people, 3 parachutes. 2 people have already jumped out. There is only 1 parachute. At that point of time, the student says, no sir, the politician was in a hurry to get off the aircraft. He took my school bag and he jumped out. No, there is a message for all of us. Why I told this story was, there is a huge potential that is coming up in the country. Now, today our building stock is about 25 billion square feet. Very shortly, in about 20 years' time, I think 20 years looks very small to me today, we are going to reach a figure of 100 billion square feet. So in 2030, I think we should not get into a panic and jump off the aircraft saying that this is not what we wanted. There's no water, there is no electricity, so jump off the aircraft. If that doesn't need to happen, I think green buildings is the only path that is left for all of us. And what is it, this is very baffling actually. What we didn't do for the last 20 years, we are going to do for the next 100 years. What we didn't do for the past 100 years, we are going to do for the next 20 years. The other way around. Now, you know the kind of figures that people are talking about, 500 smart cities, 100 smart cities, so much of development, solar energy, so on and so forth. But we should have a nice story to tell our children in 2030. Like it seems there was a French doctor in the 70s, he used to do a lot of cataract operations. Now, cataract was not simple as we think today. Today it's very easy, you walk in and walk out of the hospital, but it was very complicated in the 70s. People never knew how to operate. So he started curing millions of people, and some of them opened their eyes and they saw the world and they said, oh my goodness, I wish I was not operated, because this is not the world that I had imagined actually. So I think that's a great message there, to say that whatever we do in whatever walks of life that we are in, please have sustainability as a baseline actually. Now, many of us, we put this under the carpet. Whenever somebody talks about saving water or saving electricity, we feel it is for others, it is not for me actually. Yeah, but very soon, any of us can be a victim of this. Now, can we see environment differently? It's not just an add-on to a project. It can be the heart of the project. It can be the mainstream of the project. Like what Mr. Vijay Sai has shown in the S&S Green project. We are all extremely proud of that project, because whenever I drive from the airport to my residence in Gachibowli, whenever I see that, I remember him actually, because he was one of the first few talkers, the walkers of the concept, who very boldly said, let me do this. This is the right way to go actually. Now, I think you'll see in the next few slides why it is so important. We always, you ask somebody what are the most important problems we have, we always keep talking about population. Population is growing, therefore it is a problem to us. But this is not the way that historically we saw this problem. We always celebrated the arrival of a child. Now we didn't say, oh my goodness, this child is coming into my family, I got to take care of the child. We didn't say that. So we are at 6.5 billion today, all the world over. Very soon we'll reach the 8 billion mark. That is what in 2030. Very soon means I mean 20 in the next 20 years. So the 1.5 billion children which are going to come, I think we should only welcome them. We can't say, my goodness, 1.5 billion is going to be added and therefore problems are going to increase actually. So can we see the population in a different paradigm? In fact, it's the population which put India in the international map. Today, if India is boasting of so many good things, including the IT, for example, 20 or even 25 or even 30 years back when I started my career, if somebody had told me, why don't you get into the IT industry, I would say, oh, what is wrong with this person? Because none of us thought IT would put India in the international map of the entire the IT sector actually. So what made the difference was the people, and thankfully China helped us there actually. They didn't have English speaking people. So they allowed us to be in the front in the race actually. So can we replicate the same story in the green space? I think we are moving towards that trend. Now today, if you look at our green building footprint, we are something like 2.6 billion square feet. Probably 10 years back when I put my hands into this field, if somebody had told me we would reach 2.6 billion in the next 10 years, I would have laughed at them actually. That was the response. But today there are 3,000 plus projects in the country which are going green. But this is something all of us should be proud of, but on the other hand I am also ashamed of this. Because if you ask me a question, how much percentage of the construction that is happening in the country is green, it is less than 3% actually. So this species which are doing green is a unique species, I would say actually, where Vijay Sai is one of them actually. So can we look at this differently? That's what I'm saying. The population, many of the anthropologists today estimate that the earth has got something like 10 quadrillion ants of 12,000 species. 10 to the power of 6 is a million, 10 to the power of 9 is a billion, 10 to the power of 12 is a trillion, 10 to the power of 15 is a quadrillion. You take the mass of ant and multiply it with 10 to the power of 15, the biomass of ants will exceed the biomass of human beings actually. But ants are not doing any problem to the earth. They are not creating any nuisance to the earth as much as the human beings are. So can we learn from the ants? Is there a lesson to be learned here? We do habitats, or you live in a manner you don't disturb the earth actually. Emissions, we thought emissions are bad. All emissions are not bad. Today, all of us release carbon dioxide. It is not just factories. All of us release carbon dioxide. Plants release carbon dioxide. They take in the oxygen. They take in carbon dioxide and they release the oxygen. So they are also, in a way, they are emitting actually. Now look at this. In humans, we take almost 7 to 10 kgs of air per day. Now, do you know how much of food we take per day? Including a breakfast, lunch, dinner, etc. About 800 grams to 1000 grams, depending on how good a eater you are. Water we take about 2 liters a day. But look at the air. Air is 7 to 10 kgs of air is what we inhale every day. And we release CO2. A tree also has got emissions, but those emissions are actually good. So can we emit something good as we do these developments? That is the question that we need to ask ourselves. The problem is, when we had the oil crisis in the 1970s, that was the first oil crisis when people started looking at oil and coal actually. People thought energy is free, like air is free. We thought air is free. Air is not free today. Water is free, we thought. As a young boy, I remember, I couldn't have imagined that you will pay 10, 15 rupees to a bottle of water and buy it actually. Because you dig open wells, 10 feet you go down, you could draw water from open wells actually. But today I don't think my daughter will ever understand that there is a concept called as an open well actually. Because we are talking about 1,000 feet, 2,000 feet of bore wells. So the problem is, we release CO2, we also breathe and release CO2. The problem is how much of CO2 we are otherwise releasing, other than the human beings itself. You look at the figure, it's mind-boggling actually. It's 30 billion tons of CO2 we release every year globally. And the problem is there is no technology to retract. Once I release the CO2 into the atmosphere, there is no technology where I can say, let me take back that carbon dioxide. It is put and it is put forever. That is the reason which is reason to all leading to all your climate change issues actually. So 70s we used to ask how much of oil is left, can it last during my lifetime? Or they used to say oil, there's coal only for the next 100 years, oil is only there only for 40 years. But today the question is different. Even if I give you oil and coal, are you in a position to burn it? Because you are releasing so much of CO2 into the atmosphere. And the density of CO2 is extremely low. It's only about 0.22 kg per meter cube. So imagine the volumes here. When I'm saying 30 billion tons, it is 30 into 10 to the power of 9 tons multiplied by 1,000 will be the kgs actually. And density of CO2 being so low, you can imagine the volume that we release to the atmosphere. Transit, people thought, yes, I have got money, I can pay for my fuel. But if we continue to do the way that we are doing it today, you may have money, but there may not be fuel to buy actually. In fact, you look at some of these, I'll come back to this later. With respect to oil, every liter of oil and diesel, of petrol and diesel that you and I buy is imported. It's not just the Nike shoe or the Rolex watch or the Ray-Ban goggles or the IBM laptop is not we are importing. You are importing every liter of oil, every liter of petrol and diesel that you and I fill every day. Our crude oil bill is 20,000 crores per month. You can imagine. 4 crores is a billion. So about $5 billion is going every month actually. So, and we buy oil from Indonesia. We buy oil from the Gulf countries also. We buy coal from Indonesia. In fact, 25% of the coal that we burn in power plants today is bought from Indonesia. So by 2030, Indonesia should not say India has grown, but Indonesia, the people are suffering actually. It shouldn't happen that way because it's now a global world. The entire world is a family by itself actually. So, can we look for alternates? Water, I don't need to talk about water. Water, the problem is not availability. It's how do we manage that water? Now, for example, I think S&S may be a wonderful example of that. In fact, you will not believe 90% of the water that you throw from your houses can actually be treated to tertiary standards, reused, recycled, and you can even drink it. Singapore has shown that. Singapore Chief Minister, once he drank in front of people, and he showed how that water can also be taken in action. Because the water, today technologies are available where you can treat water to such standards actually. In fact, some of the countries you can see on the purple lines here. Today, the municipalities in some of the states in the US, they take your water, recycle the water, and give you back the water in purple lines. So you can use that water for car washing. You can use it for your agriculture or the landscaping, what you call it as. So actually today water is available, but can we manage it? Can we use it more efficiently? Now, today it's so much of a Herculean problem for us to convince people that have your own wastewater treatment plants. You can substitute your the water that you are buying through tankers with your wastewater. At least for your applications where you don't have contact with the water actually, like landscaping, car washing, or cleaning of the house. There are so many applications. In fact, technology is so robust today that you can treat this water to tertiary standards where the BOD is 20 ppm, the COD is less than 10 ppm, etc. So, water, fortunately, energy, I spoke about energy. Energy, you have got a substitute. You have got substitute called renewable energy. But there is no synthetic water. Still, I don't think anybody has found answer to this. Can I form water? Can I form synthetic water? Only thing people are talking is you capture air, take out the atmosphere in that and convert that into water. Now look at the water embedded in all these applications. Every cup of coffee that you and I take every morning is not just 125 ml or 100 ml. You are actually taking